Okay, we're ready to get started. I just want to kind of go over the format today. It's a little fluid. We're going to have reports from various directors this evening, and they'll talk about things a little specific to Ward 6. We will also have a special proclamation to start off our meeting. But first, I do want to recognize a few folks. First of all, Biloxi High School Superintendent Marcus Boudreau. I called him and told him I'm looking for a good place to hold one of these town hall meetings. Did he have an idea? And I wanted something unique and not kind of sterile. And he said, well, why don't you come over here and look at our facilities at the Internet Cafe. It's a little different. I think it'll break up a little bit of the monotony, and you might like it. So we came over here and looked at it, and we really fell in love with this little place. It's certainly a gem, and I hope it gives you a glimpse, anybody that hasn't been here, with some of the students, one of the facilities they can use on this campus. But I certainly appreciate his staff for assisting with this. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize my wife. We'll be married 40 years this December, and she still puts up with me. A little bit of her TLC is in these pusheradas. It's a Croatian delicacy. They're in the back. I enjoy some of the coffee, and she also made some mini muffins. She made the mini muffins, and she goes, no, that's not good enough. I got to do my pusherada. So thank you, honey, for going through all that. And so I'm going to do this proclamation. The mayor's running a little late, but I wanted to kick off this meeting. I think it's important. So I'm going to ask Maggie Perez to come up here and to accept this and allow me to read it to her. I've gotten to know Maggie. She lives in our community. She raises 3 wonderful children. One of her boys is good friends with my grandson, Emerson, and they've cultivated a relationship together. But I've gotten to know Maggie and her family, and AJ, which we're going to recognize tonight. He is in the U.S. Coast Guard, and he's been deployed several times, and she has left home, not alone, but she's left in our community, where our community gives her love and support with her family and their needs and everything. And I just felt compelled, on the verge of, we just celebrated a military holiday, and that it would be appropriate to do a proclamation, and the mayor obliged. So I'm going to read this proclamation. It says, whereas it is with great pride and admiration we recognize the exceptional accomplishments of AJ Perez, a dedicated member of our community and a distinguished servant of the United States Coast Guard. And whereas AJ Perez has achieved the esteemed rank of commissioned officer 1 year ago, a testament to his unwavering commitment, exemplary leadership, and steadfast dedication to the safety and security of our nation. And whereas this promotion not only reflects AJ's hard work and perseverance, but also serves as inspiration to all members of our community, demonstrating the values of integrity, honor, and service. And whereas we celebrate AJ Perez's accomplishments and extend our heartfelt gratitude for his commitment to duty and sacrifices he continues to make for our country. And we encourage all citizens to join in recognizing and celebrating this significant achievement. Now therefore, Andrew Fofo Gillage, Mayor of the City of Biloxi, do hereby proclaim, and this was done on his anniversary date, November 13th, 2024, as AJ Perez Day. So, she don't want to say anything, so.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I thought we'd kick it off on to get those positive vibes going and get into the work that we need to do. So first up, I'm going to recognize Director Jared Creel of Community Development. He has some exciting programs to talk about and developments going on in Ward 6. So Jerry, take it away.
Thank you and welcome tonight. Let me just tell you a little bit about what we do in our department so you'll understand when I get to this little list here. But in the Community Development Department, we do economic development, planning and zoning, floodplain management. We also participate in a program called CRS, which is Community Rating System, where we work to get people discounts on their flood insurance premiums, historic preservation, contractor and business licenses, building permits and inspections, stormwater management, code enforcement, museums and cultural affairs, and we also do tree preservation. And out of those, what I'd like to talk about is economic development, just to talk about some of the projects we got going on, because economic development is on fire in the city of Biloxi. And it's commercial, residential, it's amusement, it's all the things that you look for when you're looking to see how well you're doing on the economic development front. But just real quick, some things in Ward 6. You probably noticed that the old E-Fitness Center has a lot of houses going up around it now. You know, that's where the Margaritaville main office is right now for the city of Biloxi. And they are building single-family houses pretty much around the perimeter of it. They are going to have some apartments that are going to go in later, and that's under construction. We have a double hotel coming. This is a new concept in hotels where it's one building, it has a common lobby, and it has one type of hotel on one end, one type on the other. This one's going to be located right off of Cedar Lake Road behind the Sonic. It'll actually be kind of on Iron Horse back there, but it'll face Cedar Lake Road. One side will be a Town Place Suites, and the other side will be a Fairfield Inn. We also have a little retail center that's going to be going in next to the Walmart Neighborhood Market. It's called River Place Square. Today at the Planning Commission, we heard a case about dividing a piece of property and also a tree hearing for the piece of property that's just east of the Trustmark Bank at Pops Ferry and Cedar Lake Road. There's a wooded area between there and the Blake. That's going to be divided. There's going to be a Dollar Tree store going in there and also a Take 5 oil change that'll be on the other piece of property. We have a new convenience store that's proposed for the corner on Pops Ferry Road and Jam Lane. We also have the Monarch Villas, which are the small houses that are going in next to what used to be the Innovation Center on Pops Ferry Road. And we have a Papa John's Pizza that's going in on Pops Ferry Road in front of Lauren Falls. Just real quick, some other things that we have going on, because usually when we talk about community development, that's what everybody wants to know about, is what's coming to town, you know. They don't want to talk about flood zones or anything like that, but they want to know what's happening. Of course, we're all still excited about the Rouses that just opened up on Pass Road. That seems to be doing very well. The construction's continuing on the Bark building downtown and the renovations on the Sanger Theater. The old Margaritaville site down at the end of, off of Oak Street is going to be a place called Hammered Harry's, and they're working on the inside of that. It's going to be open probably right after the first of the year. The White House Hotel, you probably noticed the new addition that's being built behind there. That's going to add another 55 rooms to their building. The former Hooters restaurant location on Highway 90 is going to be an Azteca restaurant, and that should probably be open in the next 2 or 3 weeks. They're putting the finishing touches on that. The former Sal and Mookie's downtown is going to be a Catch 110 seafood restaurant. 15 pickleball courts going into the old Hobby Lobby building. And we're working on 8 hotels right now throughout the city. So tourism is alive and well. Let's see, the old Broadway Inn Express next to the IHOP. I issued a permit for them to start repairing that building. We've got a lot of complaints about that. They started gutting the building, and they're going to completely redo it from end to end. Also add another one. The Chick-fil-A, which will be located in front of Rouse's, has worked its way through DRC and has been approved. Another restaurant called Small Sliders that'll be in front of the Edgewater Village, and just a number of other projects here I could go into, and I don't want to take any time away from everyone else, but those are all commercial, and residential is on fire also. We've got residential subdivisions going up everywhere. There'll be a couple going up in Ward 6, just down the road here on the other side of Cedar Lake Road on Brody. There's going to be one on the north side, one on the south side. The one on the north side is going to have, I think, 70 lots in there, and the one on the south side's got 40 something. But a number of other subdivisions all over the city. And the minute that they start a house, it's got a sold sign in front of it. So a lot of people come in here from other areas to live in Biloxi, and that's a good thing. In addition to all the commercial and residential development that we've got coming, we just had the 43rd month in a row where our sales tax revenues have topped over $1 million, and the average of it is about 1.2 million. That's never happened in the history of Biloxi, and that is a strong, strong economic sign that we're moving in the right direction. So that's pretty much it. I'll be around afterward in case y'all have questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Anyone, if anybody wants to raise their hand, have a community development or economic development question specific, I'll give you the opportunity now. Otherwise, we'll move on with the program.
I mean, I'd like to see Pops Ferry Road be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I mean, when you go down Gray Cowan now, they planted nice trees and it's very neighborhoodish like. And I mean, a lot of our businesses that were on Pops Ferry has relocated to the Gray Cowan area. But I think it's because it's just not. We need a little bit more of a neighborhoody atmosphere than that aesthetic double drive and sterile sidewalks.
I agree with you. We can work on the aesthetics and definitely make it more beautiful.
It would be nice to bring in smaller boutiques. I know they've got a couple over there that's got nice giftware and stuff. It'd be nice to be able to do those kind of things on our board without having to leave.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Any other comments? You had your hand up?
I live on Wessel, and there's a proposed subdivision on the opposite side of Wessel. My question was, is there any city efforts to do drainage on that road? Because all of the water currently runs in the direction of the place where you guys are proposing to put a subdivision.
So I'm not aware of, I'm sure there's going to be a drainage plan. There's always a flood plan when there's new development that goes in. I'll certainly make a note of that, try to get some information back to you, but it's probably in the preliminary stages right now before they start moving forward and they come to us and give their actual plans. Director, if you have anything when you're come up during your report, maybe you want to touch on that. Anything else economic development?
I have a question. I live right on Montse Road. I've been there for several years, and I know y'all been having a lot of new buildings, new apartments and all. And at that intersection between Prosper and Montse, they have quite a few accidents right there. So are we thinking about putting a light there or anything? Because we have a lot of new construction in that area. And another thing I have on that same subject, I live in Delmont Gardens, and right there in that cul-de-sac where the school bus turn, it used to be a stop sign right there. And after Hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Ida, the hurricane was blown down, but it was never put back. And so what I live at is all the senior citizens in that area, we come out, and just go north. And other people come out and be going west. So, who was to stop? And so us being senior citizens, hey, we just going straight. But we need a stop sign that to let people know, as we come out, we need to stop and let us proceed because there used to be a stop sign there.
Okay. I've made a note of it, and that sounds like an easy fix. If it got blown down, we'll get it put back up.
Yeah, I got a couple things. First, we really need sidewalks on Brody, and like from Brody to Cedar Lake, then up from Cedar Lake to Pops Ferry. Really need sidewalks there. Preferably sidewalks, all the way to the schools, but definitely we need sidewalks back in that area. With all the, residential coming in, people would love to be able to walk around the neighborhood, or from neighborhood to another neighborhood, walking grass to the road.
You're not alone, and we've discussed the sidewalk programs. We've got a major sidewalk project going on up in Wool Market. They were able to obtain some significant funding. We are in discussions of talking about sidewalk development. Probably have to phase it in. I don't think we could do a big master plan unless we get a big trove of money. That funding got into place just in time before kind of some of the funding, grants and those type of things kind of dried up a little bit. I'm bullish that we're heading in the right direction to, that funds and grants can be available for some of these projects that we need in our ward.
The second thing is we need lights on Pops Ferry. Like, once you get past a certain point, it's like darkness if you're trying to walk on the sidewalk on Pops Ferry.
Okay?
Since we brought up sidewalks, I just want to say also, we live off of Brazier, and we got together, a bunch of neighbors, and then I've also talked to other neighbors, but we constantly walk down and there's people walking their dogs in the street, and there's really no place to step off when there's cars coming and it's dark. And lately, I don't know where people are going at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, but we have people walking at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. Anyway, we did a proposal, we did where we would like to do a loop around Brazier and around to the school and back up to, what is it, Tribe Drive?
Yes.
And then back again to where kids can bike to school, park pass, in there, and bike pass to where we can create a nice walk around, a exercise area, and a park area, and that way we'll join all the neighborhoods together, so we can make like a nice big circle around, and everybody can utilize that one area, and also the kids. And then also too, we'll bring events in, like we can work with Martin Luther with Biloxi, he can come over to biking events. We might be able to get some, Main Street type events over in our area to bring in that, once we kind of get an area to where we can call our own, then we can start, doing some more events. But anyway, and I submitted this to him, and I also brought some other pictures of what I would like to see. I don't want it to be straight sidewalks, I'd like to, maneuver in, I take after my sister. But anyway, just something that would be nice looking, and a cart pass as well for carts, so that we can get on the trend of all the other wards that are enjoying their nice little golf carts to where we can ride out to Mules, or ride out to, Sunkist, or to ride to Walmart. So, it opened up a lot of new possibilities for us to do things in our own.
Sure. Thank you, Julie, for that. Thank you. Let me take one more question, and then we can talk about economic development at the end of the program. One more question from somebody. I saw somebody's hand. Gerald, is that you in the back, or no? Anybody else? Okay. I want to recognize a couple of three of my colleagues that are here tonight from the council, from Ward 4, Councilman McGilvery. Okay, there he is, in the back over there. Ward 5, Councilman Tisdale. And Ward 7, we have Councilman Shoemaker. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Well, before we move on, I also want to make one more announcement. Y'all may have seen it in the paper about the upper elementary talking about a new location. There's two proposed locations. One is the existing one, that the existing upper elementary. The other one is off of Pops Ferry Road near the First Baptist Church, just east of First Baptist Church. They both have pros and cons, but what's happening, our population is growing. This would facilitate up to 1,000 children, students. It looks like there's a little bit of lean to the Pops Ferry site, but it's not etched in stone. There will be a meeting on December 4th at 5 p.m. at the Performing Arts Building on this campus. So anyone interested in attending that meeting and listening to some of those ideas and thoughts and renderings, again, it'll be December 4th, 5 p.m. on this campus at the Performing Arts Center. Okay, we're going to move on to our next report by Director Christy Labatade. She's our Director of Engineering. Has some really good stuff.
Good evening, everybody. Give you a quick update on a couple projects that we have going on and a couple things that with the help of Councilman Glavin, we've been able to accomplish in your ward this past year. First thing is Cedar Lake Bridge. I don't know if any of you have seen any of our notices that we put out about, tonight, actually earlier today, we had a public hearing for Cedar Lake Bridge. We're doing a study to look at the options to replace or move that bridge, and what the environmental concerns are, what the impact to the residents are, what the impacts to traffic is, that kind of stuff. At this time, it's only a study, but we are collecting public comment. There's a website, if you go on, there's a website you can go submit comments, or you can write a letter to. You can find that on the city's website, or in the B-mail that went out, and the B-mail and the B-news that went out. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, we would love to hear from all the residents that are impacted, even if you don't necessarily, live close to it or anything like that. If you use the bridge at any time, like, we want to hear from residents. We want to hear your thoughts. That's part of the process. While we're doing this study is to hopefully open the door for future funding. This is an environmental type study, so that basically, we can go to other funding sources once we get this study done, and we can say, we've already made it this far into the project, now we just need money to do design. So it's very important that we hear from everybody, that we get everybody's concerns noted and addressed as a part of this study. So if y'all have any questions about that, actually, I guess right now, do you have anything specific about the bridge, any questions? Yes.
What's the timeline on from where we're at now to possible completion? Any ideas?
Well, a long time.
Well, I know we've been
Yeah.
talking about this in
Yes.
Katrina.
Absolutely, we have. And basically what we're trying to do is, so we don't know when the bridge will be constructed, or even if it ever will be. But what this study will do will help us go after other funding sources to hopefully in the future be able to reconstruct it. So right now, we really don't know. We don't know. Yes?
You mentioned environmentals. I'm wondering, and all of it's 100% essential, but how much of that component is associated with, say, climate change versus the real environment, which is all of the other things?
Actually, we do look at that, because climate change affects not only rainfall, which affects flooding, but also it affects sea level rise, which being that that's where the river is. And that's one of the things we're looking at, is how all of those things are going to impact where we're going to put the bridge. As we know now, Cedar Lake Road goes underwater. It goes underwater more often these days. I won't say that that's necessarily, I don't want to get into a climate change debate, but I don't think we can argue that the climate is changing. And so the result of those things are flooding. One of those.
For land use is excellent.
Yes, so yes, that is all being looked at as a part of this study. Absolutely. All right, if there's no other questions, I'll move on to my next topic, which is Brazier Bayou dredging. So any of you that live on Brazier Bayou, we have been working for years to try to get this bayou dredged. We finally received the permits, and we have the funding, so that project is going out to bid shortly. We'll open bids probably mid-January. I do have a drawing of the area where we're going to dredge, so everybody can see. Part of the condition of our permit for that is that we have to stay 10 feet away from any vegetation. So we didn't get to dredge as much of the bayou as we wanted to, but we're dredging as much as they will allow us to. So hopefully those of you that live on that bayou can get better use of that from your homes and stuff. Paving. We've worked very closely with your councilman. He has been a great proponent for paving in your ward. We were able to accomplish a lot with the help of Harrison County, for one. He's been a very good coordinating with them to help them assist us so that our money goes further. So in the past year, we've been able to pave, with the help of Harrison County, Lamy Street, Hickman, Paradise Lane, Eden, and Big John Road. We also have accomplished Skeet Hunt and Audubon Trail. And we have next in the queue, which we don't have a timeline yet because we're waiting on some funding, but next in the queue are Stacy Lane and Shawnowitz. So your councilman has been very good about working with us and helping us get everything in place to get that paving done. Other projects that we've accomplished in this ward, as I will let Sherry talk about the sports complex, because that's her baby, but that's been a big project. That was a big accomplishment. We've had to work together to make all of that happen, because there's a lot of moving parts there. And tennis courts lights, I don't know if we have any tennis players, but I know the tennis courts lights were a big problem for a lot of years, so we were able to help get that accomplished, get those lights replaced, and I think it's made the facility a lot better. So at this time, if anybody has any questions, if you have like site specific, like something directly related to your home, if you want to wait till afterwards and sit down with me, I can take some notes, or you can ask it now, however you like.
Any questions, engineering? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Director. I want to just finish a couple more comments about Christie. In all due respect, all the directors work so hard, but I work real close because of the drainage, because of the paving. And there's been instances when people have told us, you can't do that. You're not going to be able to put that sewer line in. We don't have anything to tie into it, or you're not going to be able to do that drainage in that area because it's too difficult to get there. Working with Christie, and she's been a catalyst to break down those can't do type of comments. And there's some that we can't do, believe me. There's some that we can do, and it pains me when we're not able to fulfill some of the expectations. But I'm telling you, Christie has been a catalyst for some of those times when they said you can't do that. There's no way we can do it, and we found a way. So I do want to recognize and thank her.
I don't like to
for
take
that
that
hard
for an
work.
answer. Challenge.
I see the mayor has arrived. So how about a welcome to our mayor, Mayor Fofo Gillis. He's got a busy schedule. Almost, Mayor. I'm probably going to put you on the spot on this. I've been holding the Pops Ferry extension update for you. And so I'll call you up here and do that, but I just want to let you know, tonight is Thursday night. Thursday night, for you Croatians, and some of you non-Croatians know that we have Thursday night dinners at the lodge, and Fofo's giving up steak night.
No, I haven't given it up.
Oh, you haven't given it up? They've probably got one in the back for him. But I'm thoughtful of your time, Mayor. Thank you for attending. If you would give us an update on the Pops Ferry.
Well, I was just telling Ronnie on the way in, I noticed that we, just finished about $5 million worth of improvements, and it's full of soccer players right now.
Come over here, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But, there's a lot of things that have taken a long time. Everything seems to be twice as long as you plan through this or that. But the improvements to AJ Holloway is spectacular, I think, and a thank you to everyone there. Then again, as we talked about the Pops Ferry extension, actually we're going to start clearing and doing the real work for that extension from Pops Ferry across the railroad tracks to right to the west part of west of the Coliseum, and that's going to put us in a very good mode to do some things that are down the road. That's a city of Biloxi road. It's not a state road, so everybody is interested in a bridge, and this is the first step in trying to get funding for probably now $250 to $300 million to put that bridge that won't stop us when it breaks down. But we do have about $15 million to keep that from. The city came with $3 million, and the state came with $12 million. So at least the structure that we have to live with in the next years won't be breaking down and somebody with a crowbar having to align so you can get across the bridge. Those are big things. But literally the work is going to start November 25th, right, Christine? November 25th. The clearing and grub and the funding has been a tremendous task, and it still is to be, because you never know what you're going to run across, like we have with a number of the projects around the town, and the railroad tracks, and the railroad company. But yeah, the two big things that are in the mill and ready to rock and roll, or rock and rolling, is the Pops Ferry extension. Rouses just came over. That's a big deal, and they're up about 20% more than they anticipated at this point in time. A lot of good things are cooking. I think the city has more special events than any other city. We've got a good crew handling. Joel CEO is smiling, right? But there's a lot of things that, the challenges every day. Homeless, that's a challenge. But we have to address it. We're not going to run from these things. You handle a problem or it handles you. And that's the thing where communication, like we're doing here, will come into play. Let us know. Let everybody know. If you see something, say something. We'll get things moving. But I'm happy to answer any of the questions. I don't know if there's anything I need to cover, other than, these two big projects, the AJ Holloway Sports Complex, just talked about Ronnie, the sports tour is a big thing, and we feel like we're going to have the best opportunity, the best venue around. So they're dying to do tournaments, and I think we've come up with a plan that's going to accommodate the ones that gonna, the bang for the buck is what we're gonna get.
You didn't raise our taxes either, right?
No tax, that's no basement of that village, so that's a big thing, 20-something years, 28 years, I think, Dr. T, 28 years?
A generation.
That's right. We're hoping another generation, before, that goes before we have to do those kinds of things. But, these things are challenges. When in 2015, we conceived what we call the Biloxi Beach Connector, taking 67 through Shriners, across I-10, across the Pops Ferry, across the Margaret Shirley Library, and 2 new bridges. At that time, and the $22 million or $28 million project that we're doing right now. That whole thing, from Highway 90 all the way to 67, was $255 million. You cannot build one bridge for $255 million today. So we're going to keep plugging, we're going to keep pushing, and do what we need to do to make these things happen. You got to be patient. I tell everybody, patients are at the hospitals, but we need to do the things we got to do. So, any questions? Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for guiding, everybody, within the city the right way. Your thoughts and your directions are appreciated. So, thank you.
Mayor, there's some push a lot of. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Okay, next up is Director Sherry Bell with Parks and Recreation. As y'all know, we got some exciting projects. They've been a little lengthy, but I think they're going to be worth it in the end. So Director Bell will give us updates on that and some other stuff.
Good evening. The mayor took my spiel with the sports complex, but I'm not going to speak of that because I'm going to bring my athletic specialist up to do that. But before we do all that, I just want to talk about some of the events the mayor was speaking of. This Sunday at Snyder Center, we have our special needs Thanksgiving dinner and family. It's very well attended. Starts at 11 to 2. If you know anybody with special needs or have a child or an adult, bring them, please. December 6th is the Children's Parade. The 7th, the Saturday, is Christmas in the City. The 7th also is the Christmas on the Water Parade. December 14th is Excel by 5, Birth to 5, Come Learn with Santa. December 14th is Wool Market Parade, and I think it's really grown, hasn't it? Where's Nathan? Nathan, I know more than anybody. Mr. Barrett, that Wool Market Parade has really, really grown over the years. I think this is our 4th year, so, and then y'all want to be in it, get with Mr. Shoemaker back there. So, then also on December 15th, we have a War II Christmas Parade, as well as a Visit with Santa and toy giveaway that is co-sponsored by the Movers and Shakers. They would collect about $5,000 and they'll give toys away to those that need. So if you're no families that need toys or not, please get with me and I'll get with them. Coming up in January, and this is always one of my favorites, is Senior Games. I'm not saying y'all are old or seniors, but it's from 50 up. Last year we had 1,000 seniors registered and participated in the various sports. This year is a local. We'll start registering in January 15th and the games will start in March. So, Ronnie, you want to come over here? Ronnie is my athletic specialist, and I'm always trying to give him some props because our numbers, since he has come on board, have increased drastically in our sports. 600 and something. Soccer from 400, football went from 275 to 500. Basketball, we've always struggled. It has increased by 150 players. But before I do that, I want to, is that Elton back there? It is Elton. Stand up, Elton, bienvenue. I recognize him because he plays a really, really important role with me and Ronnie. In participating with the schools and being involved in our youth programs. I don't know if you have kids that played or if your grandparents and y'all go, but now at the end of each league season we have championship games. We play it at the schools. They just did the football championships. They ran through the tunnel. They flashed the lights, right? And then announce the kids. So that was awesome for the kids. And we do the same thing in basketball. They'll come play at the high school gym. So, and then we'll do the same with baseball. So, and I think that's been very pertinent with our numbers going up. But that's all thanks to this guy here and Biloxi School Systems, because they want the kids to get ready, well, they have to work with us also to get those kids ready. I am gonna let him talk about, the sports complex. I could tell you the things, but he's really been hands-on, him, Brian, Neil, and Jamie. They're making it work out there at that complex. It's been a chore, and there's still some things to do, and I'm looking forward. We've got major tournaments on the books already. Major tournaments. Ronnie, you wanna speak on that?
Okay, so it's not done yet, but it's getting close. Couple of snafus we ran into with contracts that, are the tally construction problems that they didn't know were underneath ground, and we found out along the way that kind of put some bumps in the road, and we deal with, the weather. Obviously, we went through a couple of weeks span where we were dealing with cold weather we're not used to down here, and yeah, the ground looks dry at the top, but about 4 feet underneath it's frozen. So when you're laying turf, you got to make sure you have a solid base. But we're there. We're paving the parking lot. I believe it finished today. They'll have to stripe it. The fields are going to be like the best around here. Everybody always compares us to Gulfport. Well, Gulfport has 6 turf fields. They can only go up to a certain age. We're going to be able to accommodate every age from T-ball all the way up. Our leagues are going to be able to use these fields, which is really nice for the citizens of Biloxi and their children. It's going to promote our programs and make them even better than they already are. We are trying to attract outside business. We want to bring in major tournaments. At the end of the day, we didn't build these fields for people to come from Hurley or to come from Ocean Springs or to come from Pascagoula that are going to eat in their own homes and sleep in their own beds. We built these things so we can attract regional level field teams to play at our fields, and that's where we're kind of basing our tournaments from. We want the bigger guys to come in here that are going to have to stay 2 or 3 nights in a hotel, have to eat 2 or 3 nights in a restaurant, and that's when we're really going to see that this project was worth itself. So I know it's not done yet, but it's almost there. It'll be ready. I can remember Mr. Gillage, Mayor Gillage, telling him you got till December. So he tends to get moving whenever Mayor Gillage gets involved. So it's always nice to have him in at the meetings. But if anybody has any questions about it, if I have an answer, I'll give it to you.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Ron, I want to just say that I had a grandson just went to the football stadium over here. It was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, the experience the kids get is great.
Baseball too, the T-ball thing. That was well done.
Yeah. We've kind of juggled. It's been a task because we've juggled not having AJ Holloway at our expense to host our youth leagues, and baseball had to play at the old ballparks downtown, and it really took a lot from the parents to buy into that and not see our numbers drop, and the volunteers and the board pulling those things off. The one I say is the biggest favor is the girls softball. They travel all year, and that's asking a lot for people to keep coming back to your program. But I can promise you in the long run it's going to be worth it. We're doing the right thing. It's just taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, but it's definitely going to be worth it in the long run. But having the schools access, people like Elton B. Avenue making it, we want every person that plays for our program to want to be an Indian one day, want to come here. So the sooner we promote this place and let them see it, it's pretty nice to see it. And then when the kids get to experience it from the same level that the players or the students here at Biloxi High get, like he was saying, playing football stadium and running out the tunnel, and the basketball gym's the same way. We do everything here, and the school is excellent supporting that, pulling that off, and Elton's a big factor of that. So that's it. Thank y'all.
Let me tell you when we're looking at doing the ribbon cutting, by the way. Our tentative dates is registration for baseball and softball February 1st and 8th, tryouts the 11th and 12th, the draft 13th and 14th. Practices will start February 17th and run through March 7th, and we're looking at trying to have an opening day March 8th with the ribbon cutting. So, and we'll do one at baseball at one time, and then we'll walk over to the softball and do one over there. So that's our timeline for getting the complex open and ready. And we didn't mention, but we've already got a couple of tournaments coming out of Baton Rouge, and then we have another one. Gulf Shores is inquiring about coming over this way, so they're going to bring teams with them. So that's a big plus for us. So, and if you're interested, we're looking for field sponsors, which would be like a 3-year term, and then we're also going to be looking for some pennant sponsors to put on the fields also. So, I appreciate your time. We're doing a lot of things in Parks and Rec, and I couldn't do it without my staff. So, and I personally wanted to thank Nathan Barrett. He's helping me with the walking track out at Pops Ferry. So, and I saw he's still here. I appreciate that a whole lot. And Mr. Nail, thank you for helping me with Hill Park. Yes?
Question, the lighting on the tennis courts is absolutely fantastic. But I have a question about accessibility to the courts. They used to not be locked up during the holidays, but on holidays, the courts are locked and we can't use them on the days where everybody could. And the other question is, can we keep the lights on, especially during the summer, past 9 o'clock, because the courts are so hot during the day, the only time you can play at night is very short on the time that the courts are lit.
I will tell you, they just had an ordinance that passed with the park closures, and 9 o'clock is one of those times at the tennis court. So if you're going to want to get that changed, you're going to have to speak to Councilman Glavin right here.
Let me put my 2 cents in.
Yes, sir.
We upgraded those lights, put a significant amount, so LED lights, so the power requirement, it doesn't cost us as much. So that's a possibility, once we understand, and the technology that we can make sure that it's on and off when it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think that was about a $200,000 upgrade, wasn't it, to those lighting systems?
They're fantastic.
Yes.
And not
Yes.
to speak not to speak out of turn, but I think if we got a decent amount of people that were inquiring about it,
Participation.
obviously we don't want to keep somebody staffed there till 10 o'clock if 2 people are coming to play tennis. But if it is a decent amount of people coming, we can justify that person working that late. I think that's something we could probably incorporate.
I can tell you there's
Well-
a decent amount of people.
I know that just in the sense in putting the lights up, there was a big draw from people from Bio Bluff coming back here,
Yep.
people from Treasure Oaks coming back here.
Jackson, too.
And it's because of the lighting.
And, sir, it's not something, I've spoken to the Bowmans out there, so it's something that we are looking at. We're trying to get more on with tech-wise, that we can turn the lights on and off on the courts, lock the fields, lock the gates. So, but that is something that we're actually working on with the Bowmans.
Yeah, I know the pickleball courts have a lock, but everybody has the code. And the tennis courts could be the same. It would be nice.
You're correct. So we'll look into it. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
I just want to say this also, look, and there may be a couple more questions on the fields, but this is our town hall meeting, and your questions and your ideas, we may have a policy that it's 9 o'clock or whatever. If it makes sense, and Mayor's always said this, if it makes sense, let's see if we can do it. So if we have the amount of people that want to go out there and play tennis, or the amount of people that want to use some of the other fields, and we got a certain policy that it makes sense to justify that we can modify it, we're going to listen to you. We work for you, okay? This is your town hall meeting. This is your elected officials, and we're listening. And we work for you and want to make things happen and make sure that you live in a community that cares. Are there any other questions concerning the baseball fields or tennis or any of the other Parks and Rec facilities? If there isn't, we'll go ahead and move on a little bit. Lost my notes here, but we'll next hear from Public Safety. Chief Miller couldn't be here today, but he sent, we got a major and a captain here tonight, so we'll ask our major to come up here and say and give you some crime statistics and talk about public safety. And as he's walking up here, I want to talk about what just recently happened. I got some calls the other evening about people videoing folks roaming around their neighborhoods at 3 a.m. in the morning. And some of you in this room may have been affected. There were several neighborhoods, not just one neighborhood, that was reporting this type of activity. With the help of your video and that evidence, our Biloxi PD department responded quickly. They apprehended, made some arrests, and Chief Miller says he really believes there was a major car burglary ring that we stopped in its tracks before it got started. There were 7 or 8 unlocked cars that were broken into. These individuals, we believe, intended to hit all the canvas and hit all these neighborhoods, and we stopped them at the right time. And I just want to applaud our Biloxi Police Department for not ignoring it. They could have said we got other priorities, they did not, and they went right after it, and we're a safer community today because of what happened last week.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The handouts you have before you right there are just a handout for our general stat sheets for your ward specifically. Those are from August up to the beginning of October. So this just gives you a general idea, the type of calls for service we had and how many. So in that roughly 3-month period, the police department responded to 2,106 calls for service. That's over a 3-month period. 235 reports were generated with a total of 316 different offenses and 101 arrests. That's just in your ward over a 3-month period. All right, so you got 2 different charts down there below you. It gives you kind of an idea. There's a wide range of calls. So that could be anything from a barking dog call to a burglary call. All right, the councilman kind of touched on these burglaries down here too, but I mean, your ward, at least as of this morning, was the victim of 9 of those. But like he said, they were hitting cities from Ocean Springs all the way into Gulfport. I believe Biloxi were 2021 total that they got in our city. And this is in a span of a couple hours. So, and a lot of them are just going down neighborhoods, they're dropping off, they're walking, they're pulling door handles. If they find a door that's unlocked, they go through there and they start rummaging around. Or if they see something that strikes their interest and the door's locked, they're smashing out windows too, so. But, like I said, about 9 in your ward. We've made an arrest on them so far. We've identified the other ones involved. Still working on arrest warrants for them. We've done some search warrants, recovered some of the stolen property. I know Gulfport's got charges on them, so does Ocean Springs, so it's still very much an active case. And I believe we had 2 grand larcenies up here also. I don't know if anybody at the Lanyap were here, so that also appears to be an out-of-state ring that's cloning key fobs. And they both were Dodges, so I don't know if that was specific on purpose, but 2 of them, they came out and got a notification their vehicle was moving when it wasn't supposed to be, and went out and found it gone. So we're working on that one also. So another topic that has been a hot button topic lately is golf carts. So one of the handouts you see right there has a map for most of your guys' streets up here. That shows you the roads you can drive them on, those that you cannot, all right? And bear with me, I've got a little bit of a sore throat here. But we had 18 traffic stops, 32 citations, and 11 warnings just on golf carts over the last couple months. So, and most of those are kids driving around on them that have no business being on them. They don't have driver's license. They don't have insurance on them. All of those, you have to be in compliance with that. You have to register through the city, seat belts, you gotta have a driver's license on them, you have to have automotive insurance on them. And of course, there's restrictions on what roadways you can have them on. So, you know, we got a lot of complaints about them, so we stepped up enforcement on it, and this is just some of the results of that. And surprisingly, within a couple of days of doing that, we were getting flooded at the front desk of the PD asking how to register for golf carts. So I believe it had a positive effect, we'll see.
What's the age?
You gotta have a driver's license, so at least 16 or higher, yes.
How many are allowed to run in a golf cart?
That's, honestly, that's gonna be based on the size of the golf cart, because not all of them are designed the same.
There's 6 children, round and round our clock, 6 children. No seat.
Yeah. Anything they're in is supposed to have a seatbelt per passenger. So some of them are just 2-seaters. I've seen some that are 4 and up to 6-seaters. So it just really depends on the model that they have on it.
All children.
Yes. Well, and those, like I said, most of the ones that we have stopped and caught in the act, that's usually who's driving them, it's kids. So, just, yes.
Are the roads up for debate? Can you, because like I can't go from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. Like I can't go out on Brazier to cross over. And I mean, like you can use the back roads to go over. It would be nice to be able to go down on the causeway. You know, all of those neighborhoods that are on the back end of Prosperity. But you can't use some of the major roads
a designated crossing at Pops Ferry from on the green, that way, there's a couple of designated crossings where you have to cross that, but I'm not sure where they're marked on.
But it's getting over like from Brazier, like where I live on Brazier, Brazier's a red line, so I would not be able to even maneuver close to that. And it's not, yeah, I mean, it's below, I would think it's below the.
So the designation ends up being the speed limits of the roadways. So, and that's what most of these, a lot of these neighborhood ones are smaller speeds, so that's why they fall underneath the ordinance on there. So kind of like the mayor and the councilman talked earlier, everything's up for debate. If it's something that we look at down the road, or the city looks at down the road, and they want to modify that, that would have to be an ordinance change. But as the law is right now, it has to be under those designations.
I mean, I've seen people go across Pops Ferry by this road right up here, try to drive or whatever, into Walmart. And then I've seen them go, you know, in the back over there in some of those apartments, which would be nice to be able to do that. So.
If it's safe, like I said, if there's a signal and it's been designated, but I know there's one that's designated right by Margaret Cherry Library that you can go from one.
There is.
One side to the
river.
I don't know where the rest of them are. There needs to be.
Well, like I said, that's something that can always be looked at, but this is the map I have attached is the most updated one currently for this general area up here, so.
We just don't have a bunch of amenities over, it would be nice to be able to go to Causeway, to go to Rules, and be able to go to Sunkist or whatever, you know, some of the amenities that we do have over here. Doing something like that.
I understand completely. Like I said, check with the councilman on there, and we can look at maybe trying to change the language of the ordinance on that. Does anybody else have any questions on the golf cart? Anybody on there? All right, so some of just the general department stats. A lot of people like to ask, you know, how many we have. We have 147 positions. We currently have 15 vacancies. And of the officers that we do have hired full-time, 20 are still in training. So if you're not familiar, that's about a year turnaround process on that. From the time they sign that application letter and we say, yes, you're hired, to the time they're cut loose solo. It's a lengthy process. So we're sitting a little bit better now. We have in a long time, but we still got a way to go, but we're making positive strides toward that. So it's a good thing for us. We feel optimistic. We're in a good position with it too. So I won't cover the events, because I believe Ms. Bell already touched on those. Does anybody have any questions for me specifically? Yes, ma'am.
Going east on Irish Hill, near the safety office. If you want to make a left-hand turn, the way the cars are parked in the building on the northwest corner, you can't see.
You're talking about right by the police department?
Right there.
Yes.
I feel that we need a 3- or 4-way stop sign there.
It's something we can look at. So what ends up happening?
Very, very dangerous.
Yes, ma'am. Any time we're talking traffic stop signs or traffic lights, they go through the traffic committee, and then we meet on those. We look at the feasibility of them, the cost associated with them, and sometimes we'll do traffic studies on them. We'll put up radar boxes and issues like that. So that's absolutely something we can take notes on and look and try to get added to the meeting. But you're right, when those cars are all filled in that parking lot right there, it is kind of hard to see past them. Anybody else? Questions?
Yes. One of the biggest areas that I think a lot of the neighborhoods are suffering through is the speeding through the neighborhoods. As we know from the burglary incident, a lot of residents have cameras, so we're able to capture these. We recently called out the PD for a speeder that was probably doing 2 to 3 times our speed limit. Showed the video and was told that basically all the officer could do was a consensual contact. Just curious, what more active role can the residents play with their technology to be able to at least slow this down and hold those accountable?
You talking about you showed the video to the officers?
Yes.
Anytime you're talking a misdemeanor, it's contemporaries to time and place on there. So if it's something that happened a day or two before, then we can make contact, where police reports can be done on there, but it would fall on the shoulders of yourself to sign the actual affidavit in a case like that, if it's a misdemeanor. Now, when you come into video, especially when you're talking anything like burglaries or any type of crime, absolutely get in touch with us and give it to us. We have emails set up that can pull those with larger size servers that can handle those attachments to there. So the city also has, police department has a lot of crime cameras we have tag readers, and all these are interlocked, and that's truthfully how we solve a lot of our crime. And over the years, our solvability rate has skyrocketed because of technology on there. And each year we try to add more and more into it. So we have businesses that partner with us. They give us access to their external camera servers. And that way we can pull them up. We don't have to wait, till Monday morning till the shop opens back up. We have something like a burglary ring and we see a car pass this street and we lose touch with it. Well, we can pull the exterior camera on this business that is partnered with us to do those. So although I don't have that specific data here for you, if somebody here is interested in that, we can do the same thing with neighborhood residential cameras too. So you can sign up for the programs on there. If anybody's interested, I can get you in touch with our officer that handles that. And it's a really good program, and every year we're adding more and more cameras to it. And like I said, so the burglars we talked about, by the time the sun rose up, we already knew who the main person was because of that technology. We were able to identify a vehicle and just snowball from there. So it really helps us. So
Let me jump in a little bit about that tag reader. And it's not Big Brother. It's if somebody says, where is this tag, he can track. If you're integrated with the neighborhood cameras, it can say this where this car was at one point in time, to give you a timestamp. And if you haven't seen it, it's pretty impressive real-time crime crime lab that we have. It's right like out on the TV screen, so yeah, it's pretty sharp. I think it's you all know the kind of camera system that they've integrated in New Orleans. So we're working that that technology into just everyday life. It's pretty sharp.
It's a program you should see more with larger cities. So honestly, we're kind of proud of it. It takes time. It's not cheap. So each year, like I said, we're adding to it. But like the mayor said, it's impressive. So we have people that go in there. They'll pull when we have a crime. They come in and just start pulling our network of cameras. And a lot of times, before the investigators have their first cup of coffee in the morning, they're getting a report that says, "Hey, here's your vehicle. Here's your tag on there." So like I said, it's really increased our solvability on crime. So anybody else? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Major Hill. Thank you. I didn't hear much about speed bumps or speed tables. I was expecting to hear a little bit of that. I understand. It's a little bit more difficult for the speed tables. We used to put them in a little bit easier. Now, if you're requesting that, it takes a lot of consent from the neighborhood or the HOA to put those in, because we have instances where we put them in and then all of a sudden they didn't want them and we had to remove them. It was very expensive to do that, but we can do it. It's just we need to make sure that we have a lot of consent from the neighborhood or the HOA for those things. But if you have a request from that, I got a couple of them in the hopper, please see me and I'll make sure to document it and get it to the traffic committee and see how we can move closer to doing stuff like that. Our last speaker tonight, I don't know if we saved the best for last, but Ward 6 is unique because when it took part of when they redrew the lines, Ward 6 now has 2 fire stations, and I've been able to spend some time with the guys. I've had lunch a couple of times. They do a great job fighting fires, and we got a good leader, a great leader. That's going to talk today. So without further ado, let me introduce our chief, Chief Geyser.
Good evening. Thank you. It was the way you announced me. Good evening. So for fire department, we really stay kind of in the background. So we're really kind of out there only when you need us. A lot of times. We're not at the forefront. But just to give you a little background on what's been going on here lately. So like Councilman Glavin said, y'all have 2 of our 10 stations sitting right here in this general area. One of them being the big new Station 7 that handles all of our training. Every bit of training that we do, new recruit runs right out of that station. We've got the training tower there. We've got, it's, if you haven't been by, I welcome you to stop by and see what we're doing. It's pretty amazing what our training chief and our training staff has done at that station. It also serves as our specialty rescue. We have equipment that does hazmat mitigation, structural collapse, trench rescue, We have the capability of high angle rope rescue. We've got somebody dangling off of one of our casino resorts down south of here. These guys are trained to do that. That being said, just a little background, over the past 3 years when I took the chief spot, our average age on any given shift, or say, not age, average years of service on the department, because we do have some guys that get into this service later in life. But our average time 3 years ago, maybe 4, was approximately 18 to 20 years of service. Over the 3 years, we just ran a report probably a month or 2 ago, we are down to 10 years of service. So we have had a drastic turnover of guys retiring, and that kind of all correlates back to back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when we were doing the annexation and a rapid expansion of the fire department in general. That being said, this new generation, I know every generation talks about a different generation younger than them and how they might not be this or they might not be that, but they are a very young, eager, great. Now they learn different than me and they learn different than y'all, but they are very eager to learn the profession, and they do soak it up quite well. And one of those things that they are learning is that the fire department is not just a firefighting aspect anymore. We are an EMS agency also. So what we're having is a lot of these young, energetic new firefighters. One of the things that we instituted is they have to be EMT basic before they ever hit the truck. So in addition to being a firefighter and getting your basic certification there, we're also requiring them to maintain their job with us to get the EMT basic certification. A lot of times, paramedics are teaching that, and they're encouraging them to go further. So that being said, we have 9 paramedics on the department right now, 3 more that are about to become paramedics, and we have, I think, about 5 to 8 guys that are reaching out to us that want to enter that paramedic program. Rolling into that, 80% of our call volume in the city of Biloxi is EMS as far as fire is concerned. So we run about 8,000 to 9,000 calls a year, so 80% of that is all EMS. The other part is firefighting and maybe run into a vehicle accident or something like that. But rolling into the EMS side of things, January 29th of this year, we started our new ambulance service, and it took quite a while to get there. We had to create our own EMS district. We had to do some things to be able to make that call, but we worked with the council and the mayor on creating that EMS district. We now have, instead of AMR, we now have Pafford Ambulance Service, which is a Mississippi-based company. The owner of Pafford, Greg Pafford, lives in Brandon, Mississippi. He is a phone call away. But what we've seen, we've reduced the amount of delayed calls. I think probably
8 minutes talking.
Right. I think probably a year and a half ago, we were experiencing, it wasn't AMR's fault to an extent. It was just a system that was not working at the time.
Chief, can I ask you,
Yes, sir.
the EMS district, that's a key point. Just contrast how it was structured and who had control before we created our own EMS district.
Prior to us creating our own EMS district, it was all county-based, and it was something that was designed back in the late 70s, early 80s. Obviously we all know that times were different back then. We had a whole different scenario set up then. So we looked at it. We reached out to some other cities that had done something similar, that were experiencing some of the growing pains that we were. Determined that it was the best thing, and y'all probably saw on the news that Gulfport followed suit shortly thereafter. But yes, by creating that EMS district, we were able to control the training, we're able to control what goes on, we're able to control the times that the mayor was mentioning. So just to give you an idea, a year and a half ago, we would go to our directors meeting, and I think once a week I was reporting to the mayor that we were having 15 to 25 delayed calls. And by delayed calls, that's us being on scene, waiting on a transport ambulance to show up, and that's us waiting 45 minutes or more. That was our criteria. Now, with the Pafford Ambulance Service, we contracted them. They keep 5 ambulances at all times in the city of Biloxi unless there's something big going on, and we told them they could go help, of course.
Right at the fire station too, Tony.
Absolutely.
We know where they are.
They are embedded in our fire station. If they aren't there, then they're on a call. And we have them at a 10 and a 15-minute. Priority 1, life-threatening. They are held to a 10-minute response time or less, 15-minute on priority 2. Now, I know that sounds like it might be a long time to wait for a cardiac arrest or something life-threatening. However, we're getting there within 3 minutes with those paramedics, with that advanced life support, and then they're coming for the transport. So it's kind of a partnership there.
No doubt.
And they are,
In the early days, bottom line is the bottom line. When you heard sirens, you saw our PD going first, our fire department first, and then probably the PD, but then AMR. It's the other way around now.
absolutely. They are,
They're there first.
so we have them contracted to 10 and 15 minutes. I get a report, whether I like it or not. I get 2 reports at 2 a.m. every morning, and that has been going on since January 29th. And it is a run summary of that day, that previous 24 hours, and it also is a month to date. I could look at today's month to date from November 1 to now, and I guarantee you the priority 1 that's contracted at 10, they're sitting in between 7 and 8 minutes, and the priority 2 is sitting in between probably 8 to 11 minutes, somewhere in there, depending on what's going on. And a priority 2 is still a major medical incident. It's just not a life-threatening. So we've been very pleased. They've been a great partner. They continue to modify and stay in contact with us. We know, our previous ambulance service was with us for 40 years. It was Mobile Medic and all that, eventually converted into AMR. They did well for a time, and then were failed to really keep up with the times. Pafford is small enough and nimble enough to be able to modify the way that they do business on a daily and weekly basis. So
I think they're committed to it. They're committed.
Absolutely.
To it. We were the ones that kind of led the deal.
Right. Other than that, moving forward, we are kind of working on. We have a rating bureau. For those little history, we get a fire rating. Right now, we are one of 2 cities in the state that is a 1, and it's a decreasing. So if you get we are a 2. We are working on the 1. There is no fire rating 1 in the state of Mississippi. Us and Gulfport are the only 2s, to my knowledge, that are in the state of Mississippi at this time. We come up for a rating in 2025, which will be based on 2024 numbers. And it's a very extensive. We'll have to work with pretty much every department head. We'll have to work with the mayor's office to get the information that they ask. And it all correlates. We are hoping that we will be able to get to that 1. If we aren't at that 1, we'll have, it's a 4-year rating system. So 4 years from now, we intend on being a 1. If we can't get there this time, we'll be there the next time. So, but a lot goes into it. It goes into the infrastructure work that's going on all over the city. It goes into our staffing, our trucks, and our equipment, which is second to none. We're kind of the envy of the coast, to be honest with you. And that's not tooting any horns, but the council and the mayor have been great on giving us the funds to keep all of our equipment up and up to date and really above the curve. So that is something hopefully we'll be able to announce. It takes 6 to 8 months of us to compile all of this information. But hopefully we'll be announcing later on 2025 that we are.
Chief, how much does one of those new fire trucks cost, the big ones?
Okay, so if you go right down the street at that station that I was talking about, it has 1 of the 3 engines that we recently had delivered in the past year and a half. It's a pumper, meaning that it doesn't have a ladder or anything like that. At the time when we signed the contract for it in early '22, it was $570,000. Now, if we were to buy that same truck because of all the inflation and everything else, it's going to be closer to $850,000. We are currently speccing out a replacement a replacement ladder truck. Replacement ladder truck. We are looking, the city council, the mayor have given us a budget of $2 million for one truck. So we bought 3 trucks for $1.7 million 2.5 years ago. One ladder truck is going to cost $2 million. And there is no manufacturer that gets cheaper than that, unfortunately. So we are going through that process now, and it's a 4-year build time. So it will take us 4 years to actually receive this truck from the time that we sign the contract. So it is a tall order to fill.
I want to touch base on this rating, what it means to you. No one has a better fire rating when it comes to insurance, and that's big, both the residents and there. But there's a lot of parameters in this. I think we have 39 pieces of equipment. One part of it, if you have two men per shift per piece of equipment, you get at one rating. If you get 3 or 4 or something like that, that gets you way up there. The number of fire plugs and pressure of the whole matrix of these things is a big thing. It's complicated, but we're pushing to be number 1. We were number 2 before Gulfport.
That was before my time. I don't want to lie.
So they caught up with us.
Gulfport is actually, I spoke to the Gulfport chief today. They're going through their rating right now. He jokingly said that they were going to be at that 1, but I told him good luck. So, but no, it is, like the mayor said, it is a very complex. It involves engineering, it involves GIS, but it all goes to the water distribution system that we have, which, I've been on a fire call years past with Gulfport for an apartment complex just on their side of DeBees Road. And we happen to be the second in group coming to help them with this big apartment complex. And when we hooked into their water distribution system behind those legacy apartments down there, and we couldn't get hardly any water out of it, they laughed at us and said, "Don't y'all know not to hook into our water? We hooked into y'all's side, but we didn't have any available hydrants either." So Gulfport even knows that we are leaps and bounds ahead of them in regards to the water distribution system. It's nothing but the dedication and the commitment that the mayor and the council has given to us over 20 years. So I can't take credit for that. We've just been very fortunate in the city.
I want to touch on one more thing. I know we're trying to wrap up. His men also have to test those systems, and if they test them more frequently and log that down, they get more points toward this number 1 rating. That's extra work that they do. They don't get paid any extra, that they go around and make sure the pressure and the equipment and that water system is a high efficiency.
Absolutely, yes. We work with the water department. Yes. Yeah. We work with the water department to make sure everything's top notch, greased, oiled, ready to go.
Any questions for the fire chief?
Have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I live right here, down my gardens, and I just want to comment and just thank y'all, because I live in a senior citizen complex, and when somebody falls, something happens, y'all are there and probably a minute. We right down the street.
Yes.
Y'all get there before EMTs. I had a fire alarm to go off. I had an ADT, and I was trying to fan it so it go out. And when I looked up, this guy come with his big hat on. He was coming to my door.
Yes, ma'am.
So we see y'all a lot because when we did that in senior citizens, y'all always come back first. So when we see that big truck coming, everybody like, we gotta see it. So I just want to applaud y'all
Yes,
for
ma'am.
being there and always coming to us like ASAP.
Yes, ma'am. And that makes me think, smoke detectors.
Yeah.
We have a program free to any citizen that owns their home. We will put smoke detectors in your house. They got the 10-year battery. You don't have to change the battery. All that you have to do is call our main line, 228-435-6200, ask them, you know, there's a little form that you fill out, you give us a little waiver, okay, for us, we'll even come put them in. All that you have to do is give us a little bit of information, how many people are in the home, how many bedrooms, and it's a proven fact, smoke detectors save lives, and carbon monoxide detectors, we can also do those. So October is a smoke detector month, but we do it year round.
Will you replace the old,
Yes, ma'am.
detectors?
Yes, ma'am. If y'all got ones that are over 10 years old, I highly encourage to call. You know, they're free of charge. It's a benefit and a service that we do year round.
I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
Oh, I have another question.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
blankets, are those blankets really as good as the ad show?
Yes, well,
Do you sell them?
we do not sell them. We don't sell anything other than smiles. No. To be honest, we have gone through, as y'all all know, EVs, the electric vehicles, are a huge concern for us. They make blankets that'll cover a whole EV. To my knowledge, and I cannot say that I have actually put this to the test, the residential blankets that you see throwing over the pot on the stove and things like that, yes, they do work. They're a one-time use. You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them at Walmart, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a Home Depot.
I've got a bunch of them.
Yes, ma'am. Now, we always encourage extinguisher in the kitchen, those type things, because those are a proven thing. The blankets are kind of a new area to us, and we just have not had the time to really test our.
It just smothers them.
Right.
That's-
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How many communities are connected into the internet, and communication systems when the call goes in? And then can you distinguish between EMT calls versus fires or other types of, is there any kind of distinction in that call?
To be honest with you, that might be more of a PD question.
Yes, when the calls come in, the dispatchers take them, and if it's medical, they funnel them out to which is now Pafford, and then Pafford dispatch will take it over from there. But our dispatches for both the PD and the fire department. So as soon as it's the same dispatchers are all in the room together. So once the call comes in, the initial information they get, that dictates who you get. Whether you get a truck with red lights or you get a truck with blue lights on it. So, but yes, they do part them out to wherever they need to. Medical services need to come out.
You get a choice what color?
Unfortunately not. It's actually
State law.
it's a state law.
It's very random.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Listen, I'm going to be available afterwards if anybody wants to continue to talk. I'm sorry for keeping y'all over a little bit. I told y'all 7 o'clock we went over, but I hope you found the content useful. You can contact me anytime. My email is kglavin@biloxi.ms.us. And so I want to thank everyone, thank the directors, thank the mayor for attending this town hall meeting, and hopefully some great stuff can come out of it. Thank y'all and have a wonderful evening.
Pleasure, Ed. I'll see you around.